welcome to the Lifestyle Today program. Today it is my great pleasure to have Justin Tamsett, who is the Managing Director of Active Management. He consults with all businesses worldwide in everything from startups and designs and marketing and sales systems, and has been delivering numerous keynote presentations to companies and conferences in various places, including Filex, which is the fitness convention, and Coca-Cola. Justin has been featured in the Virgin magazine, the In-Flight magazine, and also has contributed to various worldwide magazines, and also interviewed on 2GB. With a personal mission to reduce the healthcare costs for Australia and getting more people active, Justin now shares his business and life successes and failures so that the future Australia generation can have a wonderful life in the best country in the world. Justin now suffers a chronic illness that many health experts believe is a direct result of poor work-life balance. In other words, poor life choices that have made him sick. And now he feels disappointed that should he live for another 40 years. The Australian healthcare system will have to contribute $275,000 to keeping him alive. Welcome, Justin.
That sounded very impressive. Who wrote that? Who's that about?
Well, that was actually in the book here. So, yes, it's an awesome read. And thank you so much for coming in today. It's an honour to have you. And you travel around the world. And I know you have, you have so many keynote speakers or presentations that you do. So, which brings me into the first question. How do you, most major companies would hire you to educate, motivate and help people so that they can have a work-life balance.
Yeah.
So, from your experience, what do you find that people want?
Well, I think the answer is actually pretty simple. They don't know what they want.
Oh.
So can we go on now?
Well, we can go on to the next question.
No, and I say that in jest, but I also say it in all seriousness, because when I talk to a lot of people, they're not really sure what work-life balance would actually look for them. They don't actually have any concept of what they should be doing. They just know almost what they shouldn't be doing. They say, oh, I shouldn't be working so many hours. Well, how many hours should you work? Or I shouldn't be going to work at 7 o'clock in the morning. Well, what time should you be going in? So, I love the story Alice in Wonderland, and Alice comes to crossroads and she runs into the Cheshire Cat, and the Cheshire Cat says to Alice, she says to the Cheshire Cat, which way do I go? And the Cheshire Cat says, oh, where are you trying to get to? And she says, well, I don't know. And he said, well, any road will get you there.
That's true, yeah.
And I think, until we start to have an idea ourselves what goal we want to achieve with work-life balance, having me come in and help anybody is almost superfluous, because they don't actually have that idea themselves. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So then how would they identify, the fact that they're not happy, or they're either getting sick or they're getting stressed out, and this is the thing, stress is such a big problem in our society right now, because out of our stress we have heart attacks, out of stress we have poor relationships, and we have many divorces. Out of stress we have a population that is just so obese.
That's true, very true.
Even just one thing, yeah.
Yeah, look, I think at the end of the day, whether you're married or you're single, whether you're in a relationship or not, you personally have to decide where you want to head in your own life.
Yes.
You have to make those decisions, and sometimes they're tough decisions. They're not easy decisions to make. But you need to make that decision, and you need to say, okay, my work-life balance is going to be, I'm going to work X number of hours, or I'm going to make sure I finish at 5 o'clock, and I'm going to turn my phone off and not turn it back on until 8 o'clock the next morning. I'm not going to check emails. Don't need to worry about that at night. So it's a really interesting mind shift that most people have to get through first.
Yeah.
But I think start with little steps. I don't think you should be going in saying, I'm only going to work 40 hours a week, because we know that's impossible in the world that we live in now. But it might be a case of saying, well, okay, on a Friday afternoon I'm going to finish at 5 o'clock, go home, and I'm just going to take the dog for a walk, just me and the dog for a walk. Or I'm going to go to the park with the kids and just play with the kids.
Or it could be a date night with your wife.
It could be a date night with your wife. Maybe that's better on a weekday. Friday night, you might want to take her out.
Yeah, exactly.
Catch up with friends. If you've got any friends.
You know, well, I guess each to their own. So, you know, you could have a Monday night when the restaurants are not so busy and you just want to have your own personal little, you know, romantic dinner there. But, so, yeah, I guess that's really important to actually identify that people are not happy with something and then choosing something to change that.
Well, we're really quick, aren't we, to say, how do we say this without offending any of your listeners? We're really quick to say how bad things are and how you know how negative life is, but we're very slow to then say, well, what's the solution? It's just easier to whinge, easier to bitch, easier to complain than it is to find a solution.
Yeah.
So I really would encourage your listeners to be sitting down and saying, okay, well, what's my strategy? We'll work on that, but what's my goal first? Where do I want to be?
Sure.
And it could literally be, as you say, one night a week is date night where there's no TV, no phones, no computers, no iPads, maybe no kids, and you just spend that with your partner or catch up with friends. Yeah,
family or whoever is important to you, I guess.
That's right.
And what's important to you. And so I guess this is why companies like Coca-Cola has hired you in the past to help their staff and even their management team, because, you know, you lead by example and we're in such a high pressured work environment that we have to, you know, produce the figures, we have to have those appointments met, we have to answer emails, and you know, it's you know, many people, I guess, in management roles would love their staff to be happy, you know, and de-stressed. So, you know, how would you come in to help them identify that?
Well, it's interesting. When I did the presentation at Coca-Cola, that was a development team or a development course that Coca-Cola are running for women within the workplace. And it was designed to mentor them through to take them from middle management to upper management. And so they wheel me in to talk about work-life balance. And I could just tell from the body language of the women in that room, they weren't interested.
Oh, really?
They just didn't care at all.
What demographics were they?
Well, they sort of ranged, I guess. I don't want to, hopefully no one from Coca-Cola's listening, because I don't want to discriminate or...
No, not at all, but I'm just thinking maybe the younger generation.
No,
really.
They were sort of mid-20s to early 50s.
Right.
So there's a real cross-section of people.
Right.
But you could just tell from their body language they weren't ready to make that change. They were still in that, if we think about Paslow's hierarchy of behaviour change. When we think about that, and these people were in probably contemplation, thinking they should improve their work-life balance, but they weren't ready to do anything.
And that's the real problem, isn't it?
Well, I'm not sure whether they weren't ready to do anything because of the workplace,
right,
or themselves.
Well, what you just said on earlier, you know, we whinge about things and we want people to support us in our whinging. So if you're going to have that kind of environment, well, nobody's going to move to do anything, really.
That's so true.
You know, and everybody's on a downer, and let's have a story around our workplace or somebody that's not pulling their weight or whatever, rather than looking at the whole work situation as a win-win environment to sort of say, well, how can I help you or support you in something that may be your weakness, so that the whole team kind of...
That's so true.
You know?
And it was interesting, one of the ladies said, because I said, one technique that I have is that you just reply to emails either once in the morning or once in the afternoon or just once in the day. And she said, the IT department won't like that. And I said, what do you mean the IT department won't like that? And she said, they want us online all the time to be able to answer emails all the time. And I'm thinking, well, if the culture in the organisation is not around work-life balance, then how are these individuals going to have work-life balance?